not so hypothetical science problem. How much gin do I need to have drunk to click on Instagram ads I would normally have laughed at and get myself through checkout to having a Viking cooking axe screaming through the mail channels to my house?
Hey!
So I woke up with a vague recollection of Viking lore, of runes in my emails, and thought, why is that? It was only when I staggered through to the bathroom and saw my wallet on the bathroom countertop that it all fell into place. I had, during the night, after a few gins whilst my wife was asleep, we stayed up watching Bird Box to ring in the new year. And yes, I saw and I remembered everything when my wallet was sitting there on the bathroom table. I had to, of course, get up and fish it out of my pants from the last night on the bathroom floor to put my credit card details in the Shopify app and, yes, have a Viking cooking axe coming through the post to me right now. So this video is going to document the journey of my acquisition and experiences with said Viking cooking axe, hopefully for the enjoyment and information of you, the viewers. So apart from being for half-cut impulse online shoppers, who is a Viking cooking axe even for? Well, it's for those Viking guys. You know the guy you probably have one in your family, like it's a younger cousin, someone between 30 and 45 who they, start off on Sons of Anarchy and then, peak dude either stops at Vikings and then moves sideways, or it continued up to Peaky fucking Blinders. And, that's where they hang their stylistic hats. As an interesting side note, once I had engaged with this meat axe, Instagram reminded me of other things that I might also think were cool. Imagine being this guy, or imagine coming to like a train station or something and you see a guy, right? He's dressed like that and he's in his flat cap and his vest. And then once he's got everyone's attention, everyone's looking at him, he gets out an old-timey pocket watch and conspicuously checks the time. I would die. It would be a moment to remember, that's for sure. So yeah, Instagram now being very helpful, and it has decided that I too am a guy who probably drinks 4 beers and then cries about something.
No, it's not because of the beer, it's because the song Lightning Crashes by Live is playing. It's a beautiful song, man. Listen to it. Fucking circle of life, bro.
Anyway, this is gonna be the whole experience from start to finish of coming to terms with the fact that I bought a Viking cooking axe. I'm using and testing a Viking cooking axe, and my thoughts on being a person who bought, used and tested a Viking cooking axe. It's on its way. The cooking axe is coming, which is surprising to be honest, and it's somewhat heartening. Like, it means that it's actually in Australia. It's using Australia Post. I've got tracking. That's good. It's promising. I mean, the package is still going to contain a Viking cooking axe, but at least they're here. I've done the online knife thing before from Instagram, and Husk, Coolina, they take ages because they're clearly just coming from a factory in the steel district in China. So anyway, this is promising in terms of customer service, at least. It's my birthday today, and crazily enough, that's the day that the Viking cooking axe has arrived. So how's that for timing? And really fortuitous for the Viking cooking axe. I'm like 5 middies in, so I'm probably pretty receptive to it, being however it comes. It's going to be just a bit of an interesting thing. Now, this video is going to obviously have all sorts of testing, and at this point, all I've really got is a pretty decent customer service story. I ordered the thing, and it was here in like 5 days. So, thumbs up, Express Post. I didn't pay for Express Post, obviously, but good, all good. So nothing has gone wrong so far. I'm near on my birthday. Having a few responsible responsibly alcoholic ales, and bust this guy open and see what my first impression of the cooking axe is. Good times. Using the Grambo knives. I'm going to blame the middies for this. I can't remember what it's called. Aceto. Got there in the end. See, if these were fulls, I have no idea. I'd be calling the buck 110. But lovely little classical sort of pattern. A very modern front flipper little pocket Bowie knife. Hey, how cool is that? Or harpoon, really. Harpoon knife. Cool. Anyway, let's see how they go. That one there. Excuse me. All right, moment of truth. Got a very, they're committing to the bit. I respect that, all about the, congratulations. This is the greatest addition to my Valhalla. Now that you're going to want to think of any reason under the sun to use a new tool, we thought it best to let you know how to care for it. Okay, so this might be interesting this might give some examples or give some ideas about what this thing's made of or where it's made, or this is the specky kind of part stud. So, it's a utensil, but we use that word lightly. Always take caution when cutting, slicing, dicing. Fingers, watch that. Okay, so keep your axe out of the dishwasher. I mean, I dishwash some of my chef's knives, but it's got a wooden handle, so I probably wouldn't even after 8 middies, I probably wouldn't dishwash this guy. Now, axe comes ready to use as a cleaver. If you wish to use it for finer slicing and dicing, we recommend you sharpen it. So that's a little interesting, like, if this comes dull, it's because we meant it to, not because we're shit at sharpening. So interesting. Now it says wash right after and dried immediately after washing. So I'm not sure what steel this is in. It says it's come pre-oiled. So you know what? I'm hoping it's in like 1095 carbon steel or 1075 or SK5 or something acceptable as a cutlery steel. So we will see. Little this here. Thank you for your purchase, scowl with a little mjolnir on it. And let's get back down to where you can see what I'm doing. And we'll forward. I mean, that's pretty nicely presented, really. This is already several cuts above the garbage I've had from like Husk and the semi-garbage I've had from Corlina. So, let's have a look at this. You know what? That seems, it's wrapped up, so I'm going to unclip it from its leathery sheath. Righty-ho. A bit of trimming back of the plastic there. Fairly dull and a little bit burry, but you're definitely oily. So we got that part, 100% there, very oily. Very sort of thick. I was expecting it to be, it looked in the photos much sort of thinner, but it's very this is almost like a grind you'd find on a woodworking axe rather than the beloved chef's axe that we're all know and love. Okay, so you've got some Viking mode written there. That's just on top of it, I think. It's raised rather than sunk in, so that's probably not super permanent. And then it's got a little bit of artwork there as well. Righto, so very oily is my first impression. Second impression, handle's very, very thick and wide, so it's fills the hand, and I've got a fairly largish hand. Not terrible. This definitely feels, it doesn't feel like a complete piece of shit, at all. It's tacky, and I'm going to make many jokes about Viking stuff and Viking guys and that whole thing, but as an item, as an article, regardless of where it's made or anything that I don't yet know about it, it is solidly assembled, serviceably sharp, but not obviously amazingly sharp, but serviceably sharp. If I smashed this on my hand, I would cut my hand very badly and
do myself lots of damage. So you know what? Better than a lot of other knives that have come before. And yeah, it's not rusty. It's funny. I don't hate it as a built object. I find it still quite cheesy and embarrassing as a thing to have, but yeah, it's all, this is the best Instagram goofiness that I've bought so far. So, and that's saying something, Let's see how this works. Oh yeah, so the sheath clips on, yeah, it just goes around there. And then this guy, yeah. And then I think it goes on your belt hanging upside down. Out of the box sharp. Very not paper slicing sharp, but yeah, it is more like hardware store axe sharp out of the box, if you kind of get a sense of what that means. Alright, a couple of quick tests. Doesn't want to shave anything piney. This is like crafty balsa wood. Let's see what it does with this. Digs into that a bit easier, but it's light as bloody cork almost, so. Not a shaving sharp edge of shaving wood at all. Surprised if we can get through this vinyl tubing. This is difficult stuff to cut even with half decent knives, so just as a demonstration, we'll just do if there's any way we can get through it with this thing. It's basically my whole body weight down on it. Don't take too much from this. This is like, you need a pretty sharp knife to get through this stuff, like even still on the best of days, but it's pretty much just bouncing right off. It's just kind of lightly scratched it and not even started a cut. I'll show you another axe. We'll try another axe. Bruck's outdoor axe. Pretty, sharpish edge. So it gets through. About the same geometries at play, but just obviously a sharp edge rather than this. You know what, don't mean too much by this test, but just kind of showing how it comes out of the box. It's an edge that you can feel the edge, and you wouldn't want it, as I said, bearing down full force on your hand, but yeah, definitely nothing akin to even this pretty broad woodwork focused edge. I'll move my face, and then you can move up and I'll do some thin slices now with the cooking axe.
Oh, that's so bad.
That's alright, it wouldn't cut my fingers. It's very close.
It's blood.
Oh yeah.
How's the sex appeal,
Yeah, nah, I'm sorry. This music is way too cool for this level of performance. We're going to have to change it up to something else. Yep. Yep. Right.
Alright, so the results for the first few uses were so bad. It was like I had all my family over and it was a running joke. Everyone was just laughing about this, like really, like all show like no result axe. And you know, looking at it, it's just like smashing the onions in half, and it's actually a quite tall, thin blade. Just the edge on it is so obtuse. It's like, I'll show you like a bad pen illustration of what this edge is like compared to like even a normal axe edge and then like a knife edge. It's just so obtuse. So no matter what the blade looks like behind it, really isn't going to do much to make it cut any better than you can see it cutting right now. So yeah, it was a bit of fun. Like, everyone was gathering around. It is a notable looking object. Everyone's like, "What is that?" Like, no one can walk past this and go and not say, "What the hell is that?" So, it draws the eye, and I think a conversation starter is about, as it comes out of the box, is about where the true use of this thing would start and finish. So that being said, I have some stuff in my shed. I'm kind of into this thing. You might have noticed I've got a channel where I do a bit of this. So I thought, let's try and make it a bit more usable. So I thought I'd hit up my Tormek, hit up my other machines, and try and make it so it no longer cut things like this. Next thing I did was I left it overnight. I just covered it in a weak sodium chloride solution. So like, this is not anywhere near what seawater is in terms of salinity. Just like enough to get a reaction, just to show that it's definitely a carbon steel. If it's a carbon steel, it can be somewhat saved. It's just you don't want the junk zero carbon stainless steels that you often get from these sort of endeavors. And the fact that it was showing up rust pretty quickly shows that yes, there's probably carbon in here, and yes, we can probably work with that. So yeah, looking at the edge, it had a lot of fat to take off just the other sides of the axe, just under the actual edge apex. Very, very chunky edge there. So I have two tools that I was going to use for this. I'm going to use my Tormek with a rough wheel. So I'm going to set the rough wheel of my Tormek, and I'm going to use that like right under the edge to sort of flatten it right out. And then I'm going to use my sort of more convexing mini belt sharpener system, which is from Workshop, and I'm going to use that to, reconvex and make it a thinner convex edge once again. Now this took a long time. I think it's like a decent-ish basic carbon steel, which is not surprising. I mean, basic carbon steels, you almost have to look for a bad basic carbon steel for a job like this anyway. And so I think it's an okay-ish carbon steel, so I knew I could get it sharper than it was at least. So it just took a while to get that much material off. It seemed, like it was probably on the mid-level of hardness, maybe 55 or something on the Rockwell scale, but eventually got it so it was making a rudimentary paper slice.
Hello, idle cash battery, human. It's me, Algorithm Man. I notice you've been consuming media relative to Viking Cooking Axe. And I just thought that if you're interested in Viking Cooking Axe, you may also be interested in products relating to beard care or beard removal, products relating to scotch and the consumption of scotch and the culture around the consumption of scotch, flat caps, cigars and cigar accoutrements, Throwing Copper by the band Live, special edition drywall repair kit, or perhaps something for Mrs. Viking Cooking Axe. Have you considered getting Mrs. Viking Cooking Axe? Such products as these, which, judging from the algorithm, she should also enjoy. Vinyl wall affirmation, articles and minor products celebrating the consumption of wine.
So looking at the press around the thing, I'm reading that they're saying, hey, this is a weapon. So I thought, well, you know what, weapons can be used for more than just cutting soft fruit and veg and meat. So let's go and see how it fares as an axe against some wood. So against wood, it's not awful, but it's definitely not ideal. The handle is too fat to be comfortable. You can get mini axes like this from Grantsford Brucks, and interestingly for about the same amount of price, and they're made of, made in proper axe factories and whatnot. And yeah, so it's just got nothing on an actual axe. It will do a job in a basic sense. And then I thought, well, maybe this would work okay as like a fireside or kindling tool. So I did some splitting with it. So splitting is where you smash the back of the axe or knife or whatever, or large machete, or with a wooden stick or club, and sort of push it down through the wood. It's a pretty safe way of splitting firewood if you don't want to be swinging a maul around or a splitting axe around. So it's a pretty controlled way of doing it. Only thing with this axe, I'm really aware of that tip near my sort of ring finger there, and it's quite easy to snag it back and forward, when you're sort of readjusting your grip and whatnot. But as a basic task, it did do this fairly well. The edge I'd put on, while sharp against some things, still no good against wood though. Like, I still couldn't get a good wood shave going, and this was much, much more acute than it came from the factory. I would need to put a lot more work into this axe to be able to get it to being any sort of like woodcraft companion. The idea isn't awful. As I said, there are there's the Cubbon axe from Grantsford Brucks, which will do this job. It's actually made for this job really well. And there's something to having a portable small belt axe that you can use sort of as a large knife, but this just ain't it. So sticking with the Viking warrior mentality, I thought, well, let's throw it a few times, and my first throw stuck. Look at that. Second throw, third throw, not so good. I had mixed results. And then, of course, eventually that throw came. It's probably weakened by that one, and then there it goes. And that, I would suggest, is a dead axe. You could replace this handle, but as there's too many problems with the blade, it's not quite worth it.
Alrighty, so it isn't great for throwing. And that's how it broke. So yeah, throwing's a pretty abusive thing to do to an axe, although you could also argue that an axe is one of the things that's almost in its DNA to be thrown. Like a throwing axes, or they have those things where you can go in the city and throw axes at targets all day. It's not a huge thing, but I think the main issue here is this handle does not seem to be a handle wood. It seems to be a pine rather than a hickory or even an ash or woods that are more able to be strenuously handled. There is handle woods, and they're things, the same stuff they make baseball bats out of. They're more high impact, high strength woods, and this does not seem to be one of them. It seems very light. Smell, everything seems to be pine. So yeah, that's probably tracing back to the genesis of this tool, and obviously I can't speak with certainty, but what I feel might be happening is that I feel this might be like an AliExpress type product where you can get, a bulk amount of them from China, and then I think the company probably just does their embellishments to it in another factory somewhere else and then sells them on. I don't feel like they do $160 extra worth of work to it, because I could find a pretty similar thing to this on AliExpress for, about sort of $30 to $40. Yeah, it's, not to say it's all the exact one, but I think that's how a lot of this stuff goes. And the truth really is in the packaging. The package was quite meticulously packaged, quite nice packaging, but if they're ever proud to say where it's made, they will absolutely tell you. And if they're ever proud to say what it's made of, they will tell you. They'll show it. They'll have it in the packaging. They'll have it, on the box. So they didn't tell me what steel it was made of. I'm assuming it's a 1084 type steel or something. It's a carbon steel. So that was the good news. When I saw it rust, I knew I could at least get an edge on it. It had some carbon in it, so that's fine. And it can get an edge on it. It just would take you a while and some reasonably specialized tools. But yeah, and I think also, the wood is probably not the wood that they may have said it was. I think they've done a bit of a stain or a bit of a burn treatment to it to make it look a bit more like a rustic sort of handle wood, but I'm pretty sure it's hardware store pine. Pretty sure. But anyway.
So that's sort of how I feel. That's what I feel is going on. I'm not, I can't say for certain. Obviously, I haven't traced the supply chains meticulously. But yeah, is this a thing? Is this a thing that you'd want to get anyone? Is this a thing you'd want to get your boyfriend who loves Viking shit? Then, you know what? Maybe what you could get him is maybe you could get him an Amazon one or the cheap one, and maybe you could husky it up yourself. Like, maybe find out what runes make his name or his favorite thing and really cater it to him. That's probably the best thing to really do if you are. And I know I've sort of teased the Viking guys a little bit, and I'm sorry if I've offended anyone, of course, but, well, not really, but, you know, it's one of those things. It's take that with a pinch of salt. And if you do have someone who'd be really keen on this, I would say get the cheaper one and spend a half day of just painting it, and, you know, maybe get a laser, maybe get your local locksmith who's got a laser etcher or something to put some runes on it that your boyfriend might, you know, have some meaning or find some meaning in or something like that. Or, you know, that's kind of my advice. If you see this and you absolutely really want to pull the trigger and you've really sort of been curious, legitimately curious as if this is any good, it's definitely not worth the money that I paid for it. It'll function in a couple of very specific tasks, but really it is just a prop. It's a conversation starter. And if you want to get something that's a conversation starter and a prop, then I'd say put a little bit more of your own love into a more generic product, because I have a feeling that these are probably just bought en masse from a factory somewhere too. And then they just do that themselves in another factory or workshop somewhere and then sell them on at a pretty highly inflated price. So I feel like that's what's going on. I can't quite, you know, say for certain, but hope you found this video interesting. And, you know, that'd be my advice. If you absolutely can't turn away from the Viking cooking axe, just do a bit of extra DIY, save yourself a few extra bucks, and then you won't be as hurt when invariably things like this do encourage people to fuck around with them. Invariably, someone will break it and you won't be out $200, you'll be out $45 or something. Peace out, see you later.
Hello there, it is me, Algorithm Man. We notice you've been watching and enjoying the Cedric and Ada Gear channel. Based on the channel's content, we have the following recommendations: pocket knife, twisted cistern rope, vinyl tubing, self-help book, general, self-help book, existential, self-help book, intimate, anime body pillow, Tifa Lockhart, olive oil, 2 sponges, wide mouth chew, latex glove.